welcome in. This is Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 25. Eric Rogers here alongside Peter Johannes. And Peter, another great card. We've got 9 amateur fights, 3 professional fights. Some people making their professional debuts like we are, well, amateur debuts and MMA debuts like we are seeing here momentarily. What do we expect from people in an opening fight, their first ever fight in the ring?
Well, you know, you're not really sure, right? You know, they've been putting in the work in the gym. Coaches are telling you one thing. When you're in there and the cage door gets locked, you know, sometimes people react well, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we have adrenaline dumps. Sometimes, you know, the lights are a little too bright. But that's why you start off as an amateur, right? You kind of iron those wrinkles out, and then you get right back in there and you get back to work.
And like you said, you don't really know what to expect. It could be one that goes the full length. You know, we could go all the way. We could see knockout or tap out something the first few moments of the matchup. So in these fights, can you hear the corner yelling at you when it's your first one, or you kind of like maybe it depends from guy to guy?
Yeah, you know, it really does. I hear some fighters say, you know, I hear my coach crystal clear. Others say they don't hear him at all. Right? We do know that. These two guys coming to the cage right now, Chuck VOGT and EMAN TASH, both come from great gyms. Fearless MMA right there, Patrick Delgado in the corner, the longtime flag bearer of that gym. That's right. Comes out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Well-rounded gym. Delgado was a great jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I'm sure his guys are coming up right behind him. Then obviously Capital City, they got Mark Lemminger and Skiro Polizzi all came out of there, Alton Cunningham.
And his opponents making his way to the red corner,
not, these guys are
Emmanuel EMAN TASH.
So as Chuck VOGT awaits his opponent, Emmanuel TASH coming in, both of them their MMA debut here at 145 pounds. You talk about the different styles. How does one develop those styles? Because there are probably some people that are going to watch this broadcast or have seen a fight in person. They thought, maybe I could do that. And you're going to learn real quick that it's not that easy. But if you make it that far, where do those styles develop from?
Well, I think it's a lot of their background. Some of these guys come from high school wrestling, or they did taekwondo, or they boxed a little bit, and they kind of start off as a striker or a grappler. And then once you get into an MMA gym like Capital City, you're working on everything. You're doing the wrestling, you're doing the jiu-jitsu, you're doing the striking. You become much more well-rounded. I talked to Lemminger, about 30 minutes ago. Asked him about, Tash here, and he said, he's a gamer in the gym. They believe it's going to transition to the cage here, and he's excited for this fight.
Well, you certainly don't get to that level by not having a work ethic, and for one of these people, they're going to have a debut that results in a win, and the other person, I go back to the drawing board. But I think for me, if I'm fighting, I'm thinking, I want to learn something regardless of the outcome that I can take out of this. So maybe it's not in the best interest of anyone for it to be a quick fight.
Right. One thing you hear people talk about a lot is just getting cage experience, getting that cage time in. Guys will go in, they'll win 3 fights in a row, and combined 3 fights last 2 minutes. Then when they get in there with a dog that's like they are, and second round comes around and they're fatigued.
And we're going to see it as we go through the card. We're about to get started here.
Right,
you see the tail of the tape. Pretty even there. We don't have the reach, but we're about to see which man comes out victorious here. And we do have of the 9 amateur fights, we do have a title fight, so we'll get to that later on here in the night. But certainly a lot to look forward to as we get Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 25 underway.
Chuck Nasty VOGT.
Nice crowd.
Yeah, you gotta love the crowd noise and just let the energy flow as we start this thing
Madison,
off.
Wisconsin, representing Capital City MMA and Chosen Few Fight Team, Emmanuel EMAN TASH.
So as we sit ringside and you're watching the broadcast, Eric Rogers and Peter Johannes here on TVW Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 25, about to get underway from a known as Terrace.
Quick touch of gloves.
Looks like VOGT wants to get off on the offensive, but they're both trying to trade punches here.
This is a fast pace to start a fight for two amateurs.
Well, there's certainly
Tash-
a lot of, yep.
Tash landed a few nice shots there.
Well, both these men, yeah, trading those gloves early, and now you start to slow down and settle into the fight, and you get pinned up against the cage.
Good takedown defense so far from Tash. Chuck is deep in on that single there and gets it.
And so you'll hear them try to tell their men to get off the cage as it gets into dangerous territory, but he can use it as a tool a little bit. Officials and the judges over here watching closely.
We're pretty close to Chuck's corner here. Good instructions coming out from Delgado, and this is exactly what Tash needs to do. He needs to get back to his feet.
And so much of this about positioning and certainly on the judges card, what types of things are they looking for?
Well, right here, Tash has got to fight the hands. You know, this is a position that, as you can see right here, he's kind of attacking the hands there. He's got to turn into him. There you go. Now the pace is going to settle a little bit.
Right, a little less of the wildness going on.
For sure. Ooh, a big head kick there. That landed too. Wow, Chuck's got a chin on him.
It didn't seem to affect him too much, and now going on the offensive himself. Well, quickly countered and slowed down Emmanuel Tash.
Quick mouthpiece, getting it back in there. Good job by referee Tom DeBalas. Tash looking directly at Lemminger right there in the corner for instruction.
So that's probably got to be a tough thing to do when you're in the moment of the fight, and you definitely don't want to lose sight of what your opponent's about to do.
Absolutely. And there's 40 seconds left. Both of these guys have dumped a little bit of their energy.
Well, 3 rounds of 3 minutes apiece if we make it this far in your first amateur fight here in Chosen Few. The first for these two gentlemen.
A little bit of blood coming out of the nose of Chuck. That might have been from that head kick that he ate like a champ.
Well, if you didn't see it connect, you might not have even known it. As you mentioned, that's also something you learn in your fights is there's one thing to spar, but now you're taking real live ammo.
Delgado's corner screaming for Chuck to turn and face him.
There you go.
Yep. Watch the head kick.
As we get the 10-second mark, and there is the horn as we end round 1. Trading back and forth, and we will wrap up round 1 and head into round 2. You're watching Chosen Few Championships 25 on TVW. Round 2 about to begin as we look at some highlights of round number 1. There was that head strike that we saw earlier, Peter.
That was just straight shin to chin, and he ate it.
Yeah, and there goes the mouth guard as the stoppage happened there, and now we get ready for round 2. Who do you have in first round? Who comes out ahead?
I'm going to give it to Chuck VOGT. I think he did a little bit more work in that first round.
And certainly if you're looking at technique, maybe some of that earlier we didn't see from Emmanuel Tash, but he comes out aggressively.
Tash he came out, wanted to hold center cage right away, and this is going to be, I think, the story of this fight is Chuck's going to come out and let his hands go, and VOGT is going to put him back against the fence and stop those punches from landing.
Certainly one way to have a defense, and then also just kind of recollect yourself after the energy burst there out of the start of the second round. Now starting to work the head.
Nice strikes to the side of the head there. VOGT does not like that, I can guarantee it.
Might have felt a little close to the back of the head, which is not allowed.
Now, Emmanuel Tash has got a wall walk up here. He looks like he's trying to lock up a Kimura, but he's just not in the right position for it. There he rolls. Now he's on top. He should stay in this half guard position.
Yep, he's working to full.
Get some of his energy. Yeah, get some of his energy back. He's scoring points as long as he's staying active. I'd like to see him connect his hands there.
And Chuck, if he can keep that Tash's leg from sweeping over, as we are about halfway through round number 2. So Tosh earning
looking
points.
to isolate that arm.
And it's all a chess game, so you start to work your way one way, but someone might be thinking a couple moves ahead, and
yeah,
what
some
he can do getting
some of the
out
fans in the background are screaming elbows, but you cannot elbow as an amateur. So
fights.
he's looking to try and get his leg loose there. You might want to consider moving into the full mount. That fence is going to be a little
side mount.
That fence is going to be a little problematic for him to get his left leg over. But he's got to do some damage here. He's got to posture up, land some strikes, even if it's to the body.
It's almost as if Tosh has kind of given up on going full mount and maybe working the side a little bit. But either way, it's control.
There you go. VOGT has got to work his way up.
Well, he's got that leg trapped of Tosh to prevent him from scooting upwards, but you also have to make your efforts to get out.
This is definitely a round for Emmanuel TASH, that's for sure. Look, oh, there you go, the reversal.
Okay, well, there, as soon as we
start talking,
yeah.
right?
Okay, as we have 20 seconds remaining and change here in round number 2, we get the 10-second signal.
Chuck's got it right now. There you go, try and get some damage. Armbar? Oh.
And maybe not quite enough time for Chuck VOGT to continue what he was working on there, but certainly a nice way to end it for Chuck. And we will end round number 2 and look into the third and final round of this amateur fight. Debut of these two men. You are watching Chosen Few Fighting Championships 25 on TBW. Well, round number 2 is in the books. We head to the third and final round of this amateur debut, MMA debut for Emmanuel TASH and Chuck VOGT. I'm Eric Rogers alongside Peter Johannes. And Peter, we saw a round that looked like it was going to be dominated by Emmanuel TASH, and then Chuck VOGT kind of pulled something out at the end to maybe even a little bit make him feel positive going into round 3.
Yeah, I got it around a piece right now. Lemminger was in the corner of Emmanuel TASH, kind of showing him how to get out of that position if he gets put against the fence, about getting an underhook there and just ripping the arm up and turning. See if TASH can do that here. Nice head kick, nicely blocked.
Well, we're certainly seeing TASH, the aggressor, coming out of each and every round so far here tonight. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish, as we are in round number 3.
You know, TASH is switching stances from southpaw to orthodox. That. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what his natural stance is. This has been the story, though. If VOGT can get him down here, he can probably hold him in that position. There, nice reversal against the fence. This is where I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those old Damian Decora foot stomps.
Yeah, you see.
Old school.
And Chuck VOGT there, I don't know if you caught that, was looking up at the monitors that are being displayed here in the arena to kind of see what Emmanuel TASH was going to do. So Chuck VOGT making use of his resources as now he is in the driver's seat.
Right in front of the corner of the Capital City guys, Mark and Kane looking on as their fighter's looking to get his back off the fence here. There he goes. You should take center cage. Absolutely, it's perfect. Let those strikes go.
Yeah, making this a difficult job for the judges, but good for entertainment and for the learning of these two young men as they begin their debut. And here, Chuck VOGT working up against the cage.
This is what Lemminger is telling him right here. You got to rip it up. And you can see Mark right there in the corner with his thumb going up.
There it is, there it is.
Minute 20 left. You know, if TASH can get up here, he looks pretty fatigued.
So he might be using this moment right now to actively recover, if you will. And now he's trying to get Chuck's head in between his leg.
Yeah, he looks like he's trying to lock up maybe an attempted triangle, but he's just not in the right position. Patrick Delgado and company screaming to throw the left hand on the bottom there and pass the guard, which he did. TASH has just got to get up here. There you go. Back to your fence. Go back, yep.
You see who has a little bit more gas left in the tank as a takedown. Not sure who got the better of that one.
This is a Chuck round. He's got 2 takedowns. Probably be enough to pull out a decision here, in my opinion.
And it looks like
But
that's
a great
the way it's heading.
fight to open up the night. I mean, these are two debut guys, and they brought it all today.
Displaying some of the fundamentals as you want to see. Let's see if we can get. I thought maybe he was going to try and get Chuck's head and guillotine some kind of choke as we get the last signal. See if they get their last moves in. And that is the end of round number 3, the third and final round for these two men in their amateur and MMA debuts. We will have the decision coming up here in just a moment. You are watching Chosen Few Championships 25 on TVW. Back here on Chosen Few Fighting Championships, number 25 from Monona Terrace. Here, this is the amateur debut for both these young men, Chuck Vogt, Emmanuel Tash. I'm Eric Rogers with Peter Johannes, and both corners seem to think their side came out victorious. We'll go to the judges for that one. So if we kind of think about the way that this thing played out, Peter, it seemed like it was, both men split the first 2 rounds, and then, by your scorecard, it sounds like you got Chuck Vogt in this one.
It was a close fight. You never know what the judges are looking at. I know some of the rules have changed. Takedowns aren't as dominant as they once were if you're not doing anything with them. I still have a 29-28 for Chuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for these two fighters.
So we'll get the decision here momentarily.
We go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge Rick Winter scores the contest, 29-28, Tosh. Judge Gabe Sabeda scores the contest, 29-28, Vogt. And Brandon Mason scores this contest, 29-28, for your winner, fighting out of the red corner, EMAN TASH.
Let's fight.
So you might be looking into aggressiveness of the early rounds. You might be looking into some of the strikes, or some of the big moves. Do the judges like the big movements? Do they prefer big hits, or they prefer the ground and pound? Something that happened in the ground game. But either way, I think for both these guys, they both felt like they should have come out with a win, and I think they both can take good things away from this as they continue now their MMA careers with one fight under their belt.